Peace, family. Good morning. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency and Currency. I had to switch the image around. I don't know why it was right there. Probably because I didn't set it up like I wanted to. But anyway, um, good morning to you. Today is April. I don't know why I almost said April. Wow, get yourself together, man. Good morning to you. It is September the second day of September. Um, and it is Friday. You've made it to the weekend. For those who live for the weekend, you're here. And also, today is my oldest daughter's birthday. So, peace. Good morning to you, Madame. She left out to go for her birthday. Joker didn't even tell me where she was going, but it is okay. I hope you enjoy your day. Enjoy uh, being an adult and be safe in what you do and where you're at. So, good morning to you and good morning and happy birthday. All right. So, it is September the 2nd. It is Friday. It is something that you have the ability to have fun and rejoice in. And let's go ahead and just have this open dialogue and open conversation. Be deliberate, be intentional. I'm going to say it again. Be deliberate, be intentional. Let me put the caption down. I don't know why I don't have the caption up. Let me change this right quick. Nope, not that one. I almost put the wrong one up. I will fix it real quick. It probably should have been done, but it's going to be done anyway. So when people come on here, they're able to know what we're talking about. We're talking about being deliberate and be intentional. So my open question to you is how have like yesterday we talked about execute. So go execute. We talked about execution yesterday, but we now have the ability to tap into the other side, like the two cousins of execution, or the two principles of execution, or to execute is being intentional and being deliberate. Peace. Good morning, LinkedIn user. The two principles of execution is being deliberate and being intentional. Now, these two words are cousins. I say that because both of the words are in each other's definition. So because they're in each other's definition, a lot of times we don't look at it as both of them are being important to what we do or important to the direction that they're traveling in, and both feed on each other, and they feed off of their true intent and their true nature of what they do. Now, as we begin to go into it and to begin to expose, well, I don't want to say expose. That could be a word that could be used different. As we begin to expand, expand our thoughts and expand our subconscious on both words, one of them carries an emotional trait and the other one carries a much more direct trait. It's more so numbers, zeros and ones, while the other one is colorful. The other one is black and white. And when we go through the definition, you'll be able to understand which one is black and white and which one is a lot more colorful in the why and the foundation of it itself. So for everybody that's watching right now on the Facebook space, I appreciate you and I thank you for being here. Like always, we'll start in gratitude because I always want to show you gratitude because I just want to be thankful, because it's not always easy to get on. It's not always easy to be a creative, because sometimes people don't see what you're doing either as work, or they don't see what you're doing either as having a particular worth. It may not be worth to you, but it's worthy to me because I know there is a calling when it comes to doing work. So let's go ahead and take this leap into be intentional and be deliberate and be intentional. So let's go ahead and tap into this space right now. I know it's Friday. Some of y'all are probably still asleep because you feel I don't have to work today, so I'm not getting up this early, but it is okay. And we're gonna take this leap of faith in talking about being deliberate and being intentional. So For those who may be new to the platform, you're going to get definitions, you may get the etymology, and then in it, you will have the inversion, whether it be red over white or white over red. Red over white, if I say that, that means I want you to focus on the colors of the words that are in red. And if I say white over red, that means I want you to focus on the words that are in the colors of white. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So deliberate says done consciously or intentionally. The definition of deliberate, it says done consciously or intentionally. Consciously meaning what? That means that is something that happens inside the mind because you have made a absolute decision to be deliberate. You made a choice. You finalized the decision that you want to make, and you've made that choice. You consciously, that means you did it on purpose. That means you've weighed all options, and then you've made that choice to do that particular thing. That's why it says done consciously, because if it was subconsciously, that means that is something that is within the mind, whether you know it happened or it didn't, it subconsciously happened, so it just clicked. This didn't just click. This is something that you consciously weighed all options and you made a choice. You finalized the decision that you wanted to make, which is to be deliberate. So again, it says done consciously or intentionally. So now let's go into the etymology of it. That's going into the root of it. It says it is Middle English from Latin, deliberatus. Again, if it's wrong, cool. Put it in the chat how it should be said. But then it begins to break down deliberate. So D, which is from or away from, liber or libra, to balance or weigh. So to look at the origin of the word to be deliberate, or the origin of the word deliberate, that means you have weighed your options. That's just going to the root of the word. Deliberate. You have weighed your options. Because liber, L-I-B-E-R, that's why you see it in blue, because it is balanced between D, by from or away from, and it is a balance, and you've weighed your conscious decision on to make this choice to be deliberate. I've weighed my options. I wrote it down. I put it on the table. I examined it. I've had conversations. I've decided that I'm going to do this. And I was deliberate in nature because I did what? I consciously and intentionally made my choice. Now, remember, we're talking about the two principles of execution. You will execute based off of your own internal deliberation. We're not talking about anybody else. We're talking about our choice or how we choose to execute. You choose to execute based off of the things that you are intentionally doing through your own conscious effort or through your own conscious thoughts to deliberate. Now, intentional, again, remember, both words, they're like cousins, and they both have they both have each other in the definition. Again, deliberate, done consciously and intentionally. Then you have intentional, done on purpose, deliberate. Now, when I began to look at this and begin to study this, I was like, wow, this is dope. I never looked at it this way, to where these two words is like cousins. They both feed off of each other. They both have a way of changing an environment. They both have a way of developing frequency in the room. Because look at it, it says done on purpose. That means your intentions is your why. And you've done it with the purpose and based on the foundation of the choice that you made, and through your own natural deliberation. You've made it intentional to be here at 7:30 in the morning. I am intentional. So therefore, I purposefully wake up and I purposely log on and I purposely be in this place. I purposely communicate. I purposely reply. I purposely chat. I do whatever it is. I do it with the intentions of my deliberation, of the choice that I've made. So now, in the etymology of intentional, it is Old French intention, which I think I got that right. It says intent, purpose, aspiration, will, and thought. I'm gonna say that again. Intent, purpose, aspiration, will, and thought. So intentional carries an emotional trait. Now I forgot to put something up here, but I have to pull it up. Well, I'm not gonna pull it up, but I will I have to say it because now going into the emotional trait of intentional, I want to make sure that you hear it because this will allow you to understand why do you feel a certain way when it comes to intentional and intentions. Because from the old English of intentions, it says emotion, feelings, heart, mind, mental faculties, and understanding. That's why you feel you feel a certain way when your intentions are good, but it's not received that way. That feeling that you feel inside of you, or that feeling or that gut feeling that you, when it feel like you got gut punched, when you put out your or you've executed from your true intentions, but it wasn't received that way. That's why we feel a certain way, because intentions carry an emotional trait. It says emotions, feelings, heart, mind, mental faculties, and understanding. So now when it comes to the intentions, let's go ahead and take this deep dive, because be deliberate, be intentional is something that is a choice that you make. So in this deep dive, those doggone bells is aggravating me. In this deep dive of the be deliberate, be intentional. So intentionality and being deliberate affects so many facets of our life, right? It affects so many things in our life that all we need to do is to be intentional and be deliberate. And what we need to do is really ask ourselves, why are we doing this? Because if you're striving to execute and to do something, you have to ask yourself why. Because remember, your intentions is your why, and being deliberate is what you're doing. So you have to then say, okay, how did I get here and where am I going? How did I get here and where am I going? Because taking the first step in execution is being deliberate, and your why is your purpose of your intentions. And when we begin to take those steps, we have to be able to understand that we have to be able to be uncommon. Like, what are you talking about? Be uncommon. I don't want to be common, the common thing, because you can't, we can't, uh, we can't settle. We can, but it won't be in your best intentions to settle, but we can't make settling become so a common action of ours. Because if we make settling become a common action, a lot of times we don't get the things that we want out of the executions that we have just done, because we've settled for mediocrity. And you then have to become uncommon that you then become settling. You then become settling with passion and determination, because the actions that you do now can become consistent. Like, you know what? I don't want to be what everybody else. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. I want to do the things that I know that is the right thing for me to do. So I don't want to be common. I want to be uncommon. I want to be the difference. I want to be the the difference in the room. I want to be deliberate and I want to be intentional. A lot of times being deliberate and being intentional will become uncommon. Now, we may have done things that makes us look common, but when we make the conscious effort to choose to be different, or we make the confident efforts to choose to do different, then we become uncommon and people are like, "Okay, this is different." You know, he or she normally commonly do this, and now they're not doing that no more, because there has to be a change of thought and a change of mind, which then actually changes the actions or the execution of what's been done. That's being uncommon. Uncommon doesn't happen until change takes place. Uncommon doesn't happen until the understanding becomes greater than the misunderstanding. And how you spend your time and your energy and your money should align with what matters to you, should align with what you're striving to execute, should align with the things that you know that you have set out for yourself. And anything in life that isn't in alignment with what matters to your execution need to change, because it's not going to be easy, but it is certainly won't be perfect, but it can be worth it when you look at becoming uncommon. You may even learn more about yourself when you begin to do the uncommon things. You might find out the things that you were not doing, or the things that you said that you didn't like. You might find out that you really like it. So then your execution will change, because your experience now can be duplicated for you to do that thing or to do something else, because you took the calculated risk. Because a deliberation is a calculated decision, just like it could be a calculated risk. And are you willing to be uncommon to learn more about you, which is going to change how your execution is, which then turns out to change the results and changes the outcome. And when you change the results and you change your outcome, you have to then look at the intentional attention. So I read something this morning. It says, choose your intention carefully and then practice holding your consciousness to it, so it becomes the guiding light to your life. And the part that I like the most, it says to carefully, and then it says to hold your consciousness to it. So that means hold your thoughts to it. That means understand that you're just the efforts that you put into it, you have to consciously put yourself in that space over and over again. So if my intention is to show attention to this particular thing, I'm going to hold my thoughts to it. Because a lot of times when we don't hold our thoughts to things, then we begin to wander. We don't hold our thoughts to things and we begin to have self-doubt. If we don't hold our thoughts to things, or to hold our consciousness to it, then we begin to become ineffective. So now when we have to understand that we have to be direct in the things that we put our attention to in order for us to be productive. And being intentional with your attention means that you have to use your time better. And to do so, you have to remember that unintentionally, there are some things that you have to pay attention to. And that's like, am I using my time effectively? Am I using my time efficiently? Because if I inefficiently and inefficiently and being uh, ineffective, then my attention is no longer on what I'm doing. I lose faith. I lose the will to want to do it because I was not intentional with my attention. And I think when we get into being intentional with our intention, that's like, what do you look at on TV? What are you looking at on YouTube? What are you reading? What type of conversations are you having? And just being very intentional with what keeps our attention. What keeps our attention? Where do we want to go in life could really be based on what we give our attention to and who we give our attention to. Be intentional about the people that you hang around. Be intentional about the conversations that you're having. And then when you do that, you have to begin to run after the vision. Because now when you're looking at your execution, it comes after you have written the vision. Because it's easy, like we hear it all the time, write the vision and make it plain, write the vision and make it plain. Don't you know after you write the vision and you have understood the assignment, it is now time for you to run after it? You have to run after the vision. You don't just write the vision and make it plain and then you put it in your pocket and then you go lay down somewhere. No, you write it down, you make it plain, you deliberate before you make that conscious effort. And then after you have that deliberate action that you have chosen to do, and then be intentional with taking the first step. That's how you run after the vision. Only after you have read it and only after you have comprehend the assignment of the execution that you are about to embark upon. And then that's when you begin to take that step and to be the results. I know I used this picture yesterday, but I had to use it again because it looked so much like being the results. Because to get the results that you desire, you must work on that moment every day, or you must work on that moment every week, or you must work on that moment every month. However the frequency is for you, you still have to work on it. It's not just someone talking to you about it. It's what are you saying to you in the ninth hour? What are you saying to you before you start? What are you saying to you when there's no one else around? Are you going to be the results, or are you going to be affected by you not putting in the work? Being the results, it's like, I want to live healthy. So you have to be the results. You have to do the things that's going to make you healthy. You're going to have to do the things that is going to create that healthy lifestyle. You're going to have to be the results that's going to allow you to put yourself in that physical manifestation that you want the results to be. So if the results of my outcome means that I'm going to have to eat different, then I have to be the results. I have to eat different. I have to study and show myself approval. If I want to take this exam and pass this exam, I have to be the results. I have to be what passing looks like. I have to be what wealth looks like. So therefore, I must ensure that I understand what wealth is. I have to understand what my P&L statements look like and understand what it is if I want to be the results of creating wealth. If generational wealth is a action of yours, then you have to be the results. The generational wealth gap has to close between you and your child by ensuring that you give them information that can allow them to build on healthy wealth building habits. That's being the results. Legacy starts with you. Legacy comes from you, but it starts with you. It comes out of your mouth. It comes out of the actions that you take. It comes out of the places that you go. It comes from the places that you don't go. It comes from from the things that you don't say, or the change that you've made after you have said that particular thing. That is still being the result. That is making the conscious effort to be deliberate. That is making the subconscious effort, the purpose behind on why you are being intentional. There will be no execution without deliberation or without being intentional. It has to happen. Those are the two principles of execution: deliberation and intentional. Being intentional. All right, that's enough. Peace. Good morning, Miss Anderson. So now, after you have become the results, after you have looked at the things that you've said, after you looked at the places that you strive to go, after you have made a conscious effort, after you have made your consciousness or holding your consciousness accountable for the way that you think, then your execution becomes a lot more purposeful, because you understood that my intentions carries my purpose. My intentions put me in a place to where I understand the who that I am a lot more, because I become more intentional with my study habits. I become more intentional with how I love. I become more intentional with how I communicate. I become more intentional about where I go. I become more intentional about how I communicate to myself. I become more intentional with how I love myself. I become more intentional with how I see myself. I become more intentional about what I see. I become more intentional about the steps that I take. I become more intentional about the direction that I go. I become more intentional about the purpose that I know that I have for me. I become more intentional about the things and the who that I surround myself with, because if I don't be intentional about that, then I am just as ineffective as the time that I put into it. All right, that's enough. Peace. Good morning, Mr. Bowens. All right. Be deliberate and be intentional. When you become more deliberate and you become more intentional about the life that you live and the life that you want to live, that next step becomes a lot easier for you, because you have deliberated enough to make that choice, to choose, and to hold yourself accountable for the choice that you've made, because you deliberately done that particular thing. You have allowed yourself to not just be the best you that you can be, but you have allowed yourself to know and understand that if I choose to be the best me, I have to look and to manage me. I can't manage what you say. I can't manage how you feel. I can't manage how you react, but I can manage what I do. I can manage my outcome, because I have to look at what I put into it. I can't manage what you receive, but I can manage what I receive. I can manage how I communicate to me. And then when I manage the who that I am, and then when I manage the person that I am, then when that I manage the conversations that I have with myself, I can change the order and the direction that we're going, the order and the direction of the execution, because I've managed my expectation. So how are you executing today? What about this week that you chose to do that you didn't do? What type of result are you right now? I'm just talking about the last screen, the last thing, and I'm going to show you what type of result. Be the result. So I'm going to ask you now, who are you? Who are you? If you're the result, then who are you? Who are you today? I am strong. Be the result. I am wise. Be the result. I am healed. Be the result. Stop holding on to the feelings of something and hold on and create the result. I am sad. What are you going to do about it? If you want to be healed, you have to do what healed looks like. And being deliberate with it and be intentional about the next steps. Shoot, that might be Monday. Be the result. A lot of times we're not where we're supposed to be because we're not being the result. You can't say I want to be happy but still doing things that make you unhappy. I heard Steve Harvey say, if you want, you can extend your hand, but if you want more people to shake your hand, you have to extend your hand a lot more. Be the result. Be in those places and be in those rooms that's going to allow you to be the energy in the room. That's going to allow you to change the frequency in your life because you are being the result. You are the room. The physical manifestation of the room is just a setting, but you are the room. Every place that you go, you've worked towards it. Good, bad, or indifferent. Are you developing the results for your tomorrow today? How are you communicating with yourself about tomorrow? I'd rather live my tomorrow today because the things I do today will help me out tomorrow. The things I communicate to myself today would allow me to listen to tomorrow. I mean, you hear it a lot when people say, what would you tell your 17-year-old self? I don't want to talk to my 17-year-old self. I don't. I'd rather talk to my 60-year-old self to tell myself, I am proud of you for keep going. I am so thankful you never quitted on me. I am so thankful that you've overcame all of the pitfalls that you fell into. I am so thankful for you. And I thank you for being who that you are right now. I'd rather talk to that person. I don't want to talk to my yesterday. What would you tell your 20-year-old self? Nothing. I'm not there anymore. The way that I think is not 20 anymore. The direction that I'm going is not my 18-year-old self. I'd rather talk to my senior self. That's the person I want to see. That's the person I want to communicate with. That's the execution that I want to see. So my question to you is, what will you tell your 60-year-old self? That's the new question. What will you tell your 60-year-old self? Put it into the chat. I'm very interested in learning. What will you tell your 60-year-old self? I don't want to know anything about your 18-year-old self. Don't tell me that. Because if you, at whatever your age is, still think the same way as your 18-year-old self, then you got a long way to go. So what would you tell your 60-year-old self? In the chat. I learned about how you can get yourself. Are you still self-sabotage yourself 60 as you did when you was 18 and 21 and 25? That's my question. I want to speak to the 60-year-old Ronnie. That's the one I want to see. Because everything I did before I got to 60, I didn't do it in vain because I was deliberate and I was intentional. And that's how you change things. Like, I want to be the result. I'm going to be the result today. I am changing the way I eat today. I'm changing the way I communicate today. I'm changing the videos that I watch today. I'm changing all of that. And being deliberate and being intentional is the conduit for me to get there. I'm changing my input. I'm acknowledging that the throughput is going to be the journey. There are going to be obstacles in my throughput, but the output I'm going to be the result. Your output is your result. It is a result of your input. It is a result of the energy that you put into it. All right, that's enough. Hey, y'all be blessed. And remember, consistency can create currency. For y'all that live for the weekend, keep living, keep loving, keep striving, keep thriving. Mr. R2 here at Consistency and Currency, your morning podcast of choice. Y'all be blessed. Peace.